Chapter 2. Essos. Essos stood looking out of the windows on the bridge of the Hand of the Emperor. He smirked to himself, thinking about the name of the ship. After this is finished, I'll change the name to something more appropriate, he thought. The Hand of the Emperor had dropped out of the warp gate near Europa just a few minutes before. They were still a great distance away, but Essos could see the massive blue, green and red planet without magnification, though his eyes were much better than that of a standard human. Essos, like all of his brothers, the Emperor's sons, was far more genetically advanced than even the most advanced Spartan Marines. Even his father's Praetorians were not a match for him or his brothers, while they were feared by all others. Essos was not born, he was made, grown by the Emperor using his own genetic template, along with several females that Essos had no knowledge of, to create him over 4,700 years ago. Essos pondered all the blood he had shed for his father through those eons. The countless years of war and conquest he had waged under his father's banner. How he had been shunted aside so quickly and easily by his father after his brother Anorian was born, the first true-born son of the Emperor and Empress. The actions he had set in motion since, and the atrocity he was here to carry out, would start a very different war than any he had fought before, and he relished that idea. Lord, Essos heard his comms specialist Victor say, "The battery station on platform number 1 and planet-side security are both hailing us asking for system transit authorization codes." Essos nodded and tapped a few buttons on his screen, sending Victor a data package designed to temporarily shut down the planet's comms and defenses, including railguns positioned on asteroids and man-made platforms orbiting the planet. "Confirm when you have it," Essos told Victor, and a few seconds later he heard his brisk reply, "Confirmed." That was all Victor needed to say. Send the package to the orbital stations and planet security. As soon as any one of them open it, the virus will spread through the whole defense system. Their comms, ability to target or even fire, along with their ability to see us with tracking systems, will be down. Marius, as soon as the targeting locks on us die, order the Spartans to prepare for planetary assault. Lan, have the gun crews ready to destroy the defensive platforms when we start moving towards the planet again. We've spent over 2 years hiding in the shadows and sowing deception into almost everything we did during that time to get to this point. Do not fail now, gentlemen, Essos ordered his men. Marius had been Essos's first captain and friend for over 300 years. He would command the Spartans and ship in his lord's absence, or if they split into multiple strike teams for different objectives, as they would here. Essos had no doubt that his friend would get the job done quickly and cleanly. Lan had been the ship's weapons specialist and in charge of the ship's magnificent weaponry for over 100 years, and Essos trusted him completely as well. Essos closed his eyes for a moment and envisioned what he was about to do. Once his father learned that it had been him who attacked and destroyed Europa, he would also know that Essos had taken control of weaponry the Emperor had ordered Essos to hide away there eons ago. Weapons and technology the Emperor had forbidden the use of in the Imperium, for all but him, of course. Weapons and technology that Essos would wield against his father and the Imperium. He opened his eyes again when he heard Lan's voice over the comm. "Lord, the orbitals targeting locks on us are dying one after the other. Their comms are garbled, unreadable, and full of static. It's going quiet as well. Fuck me, that virus is a fast little bitch." Essos smiled to himself as much as at Lan. He had designed the quite insane AI that was now wrecking the orbital platforms and the planet-side defenses. Essos and Lan had worked with Tyson, the ship's navigator, for 3 days and nights to plan their approach and avenue of attack on the orbitals and planet. They had planned which order the orbitals would be destroyed in, and an avenue of approach that used the destroyed platforms to keep them hidden during their run toward the planet. None of the planet's railguns should have been able to see, much less hit the ship, but Essos wasn't taking any chances. They would use the explosions and debris fields, cloaking themselves in death. "Tyson," Essos called over comms, "is our final path of approach laid into the ship systems?" "They are, Lord. Give the order and we move." "Let's get it done, Navigator," Essos ordered. For half a heartbeat, everything was still, and then they felt the weight of massive acceleration push against them for just a moment before the ship's gravity nullification systems kicked in and the extra weight lifted as quickly as they had felt it come. Essos knew there was a wild card in all of this. He was one of only a few in the Imperium that knew of the arcane stealth technologies that the Emperor himself had hidden away on Europa thousands of years ago, not long after the conquest of Terra and becoming the Emperor. He had learned of them when the Emperor sent him to hide away awesome weapons of mass destruction on Europa after he had destroyed planet Hive over 2,000 years ago. He knew the Emperor had used these stealth technologies in secret to construct ships and engines that were all but invisible to sensors, as well as the naked eye. They were painted a color of black that didn't quite seem like it followed the laws of physics, or any natural law at all, really. They perfectly disappeared amongst the black ocean of space. Their Silence engines, named after the man who helped the Emperor create them, produced almost no waste and even less heat, making them nearly impossible to track. The plating of the ships fooled detection technologies into thinking they were passing right through the hull, as if nothing was there at all. Essos was sure that one of these ships sat at high anchor above Europa. It was one of the reasons their approach was so cautious. They needed to find it before it found them. Essos knew what to look for, though, and had taught the ship's AI systems what to look for as well. They weren't looking for what was there, but instead what wasn't there that should have been. A black mass of nothingness where there should be light, for instance. Essos wasn't sure if the virus would infect the invisible, because they weren't sure if any of the platforms or the planet had shared the virus with the ship in the first place. Because of that, it needed to be destroyed before it could identify them and send out a warning of their own to the Imperium. 5 seconds into their speed run on the planet, they felt the ship quiver as it unleashed dozens of massive adamantium rods tipped with antimatter warheads towards the orbitals. Essos saw the closest orbital platform collapse in on itself in a dazzling display of light and reduction, as the platform was sucked down to the size of an infinitely small black hole, before the instantaneous explosion outward rocked the hand of the Emperor and sent alarms blaring. Then the next orbital died, and then the one after that, a synchronized dance of destruction and death that even the Emperor would have enjoyed watching in other circumstances. Outside the bridge windows, there were debris fields on fire as far as the eyes could see towards Europa. Lord Invisible located. I'll have a firing solution on them in 5 seconds. How do you want me to kill it? Lan asked through the comms. Nuke them as soon as you have the solution and use the big boys. They'll be blind with all this chaff, even if they do still have their systems online, but not for long, Essos responded. 2 seconds later, as the ship's weaponry bristled to life again, they felt the ship shake slightly as it launched a half-dozen massive nuclear warheads on rockets the size of the first spaceships, traveling many, many times faster than the speed of sound. There were several seconds of calm and silence afterwards. Only the ship's groans themselves could be heard, and Essos thought about how peaceful it was and how beautiful the destruction they had wrought was. They were decelerating towards the planet when the timer on Essos' screen hit 0. At that same moment, the massive nuclear weapons found the invisible ship and vaporized it. To many on Europa who saw it, it would look like the skies had been torn open and the gods were pouring down fire on them. For some, it would feel like it too. Countless Imperium citizens were instantly consumed by nuclear fire punching through the atmosphere. While Essos wasn't the psychic match of some of his brothers, he did still possess some psychic abilities, such as the ability to read other people's emotions. He could sense that many of the crew felt inner conflict at their victory. He himself felt no joy in the taking of lives to achieve the act. If it could have been done without killing his own, he would have. Even that would only delay the inevitable conflict and deaths to come. The job wasn't over yet either. Essos leaned forward and flipped the switch on his console that would allow him to address the whole ship. He took a deep breath. Well done, little brothers and sisters. Because of your work, we own the skies of Europa. But remember, the job is not done yet. More blood has to be spilled before we are finished. Much more. First, Captain Marius and I will lead 2 strike teams to the surface. 200 Spartans will drop with me into the northern mountains of the planet to attack an Imperium base there. Marius will take 200 Spartans with him to capture the governor's palace, along with the governor's person. Spartans, proceed to the assigned drop deck. We will be dropping planet side in 2 hours." The ship went quiet and he turned off his mic. A little over an hour later, LAN reported they had destroyed the last of the military defenses on the surface, as well as all known subterranean military assets as well. All the planet's railguns had been destroyed before they set high anchor above the planet. The virus had done its job, but he saw no need to take chances. Outside the windows, pieces of the nuked Invisible, still burning hot orange, could be seen moving through the black. Essos and Marius walked together towards the lower flight deck of the ship, where the Spartans and their drop pods were waiting for them. "Remember, brother, I want the governor alive at all costs. He has information I want, and he may be the only one left I can get it from," Essos told Marius. "I'll take him alive, Lord, short of the man killing himself before we get to him. None of the Spartans will kill him. They've all been given the order to capture him alive, regardless of tactics or danger to themselves," Marius assured him. Essos towered over his first captain, a large Spartan himself, yet almost small next to his lord. Essos was a little over 8.5 feet tall outside of his battle armor and nearly 9 feet in it. Marius was a large Spartan at 7 feet 7 inches, but was still a whole head shorter than Essos. To standard humans, they looked like demigods of war. Essos wore his dark black battle armor with the dual white skulls of the Legion on his pauldrons. He had a larger Spartan rifle that fired .50 incendiary rounds slung around his back, and 2 1911S pistols firing incendiary nano rounds, among other things, holstered at his shoulders, and a large adamantium power sword on his hip. The sword was massive, thousands of years old, and powered with arcane technology that gave it the ability to pass through almost any metal or armor. Marius was in the Legion's black power armor that also carried the dual skulls of the Legion on his pauldrons. He carried a slightly smaller, standard-issue Spartan rifle that fired an assortment of .50 caliber rounds, a much newer 1911S pistol than his lord's, and a smaller adamantium sword at his hip. To outsiders, it would have looked much like a lord and his page going to war. They walked through the last door and out onto the gangway above the deck. The 400 Spartans that had been chosen to drop to the planet were all gathered on the deck below. Essos handed his helmet to Marius and stepped forward. Silence fell, and all the Spartans' eyes were on him. He could feel their eagerness, like a stallion waiting for the gate to drop, but also the unease at what was about to be done. Few of you are old enough to remember a time when humanity was truly at war with itself. We have our small spats, no doubt, but that is not the business we are about here. What we are about to do will ignite the fires of rebellion and war against my father and those in the Imperium who support him. Almost none of you have fought with your cousins from a different legion before, besides sparring. This isn't that. When you have them, do not hesitate, little brothers. Do not show mercy. You can be sure to receive absolutely none. Go, do what you were bred, born, and trained to do. Ignite the fires of war, little brothers, Essos cried with his rifle raised high above his head. To your assigned pods, Spartans. We drop in 5 minutes, Marius yelled over the cheers of the Spartans. Each company of Spartans was made up of 100 soldiers. They could then be split further into squads of 10. A single company of Spartans could pacify many a planet in the galaxy on their own, and some had. First Company, led by Sergeant Nathan Gallows, and Third Company, led by Second Captain Tidon Miros, would drop with Essos and his sworn guards, Typhon, Gare, and Solomon, into the mountains. Second Company, led by Sergeant Alastair Amos, and Fourth Company, led by the young Sergeant Seven Merlin, would drop with First Captain Marius to capture the governor's palace and the governor's person. Essos and his companies would make Planet Fall about 200 miles away from the governor's palace and attack the military depots in the mountains. The governor's palace and surrounding Imperium buildings would have around 50 to 75 Spartans on station to protect them at any given point in time. The military depot was supposed to be garrisoned with its own company of Spartans, as well as with another company of the Emperor's regulars, or regulars as most called them. Not standard humans, but not nearly as capable or as advanced as the Spartans. Marius had argued that he should attack the military base, as it was the more dangerous of the two. He had pointed out to Essos that if a stray or lucky shot were to kill him, the revolution would be over before it began. The reality, though, was that Marius wasn't even sure his lord could be killed. He'd seen him survive wounds that should have been unsurvivable before, and more than once. Essos wasn't a normal man, or even a Spartan, with their legendary toughness and ability to heal from deadly wounds. He was something much more than that, made so by the Emperor. Also, Essos knew things about the weapons depot that he hadn't shared with his first captain yet, or anyone for that matter, aside from two of his brothers. Marius only knew parts of why they were here, and that is why Essos would take the military depot. The last Spartans boarded their drop pods as Essos and his sworn guard, Solomon, Typhon, and Gar, did the same. Essos flipped a switch on his helmet that would allow him to address the Spartans without speaking to the rest of the ship. "Little brothers, you are about to drop into combat with another legion of your own kind. My little brother Nick's Spartans of the White Eagle Legion will be confused. They might think you are here to help at first. Use that split second of doubt and indecision to your benefit, little brothers. Once they realize our business here, they will not hesitate. They will not ask why. They will just kill you. Nix has trained them well, and they are superb warriors. But you are better, little brothers. Make your commanders, brothers, and this Black Legion proud," Essos finished loudly. With that, the red flashing lights in their drop pods turned green, and they plummeted from the ship into the black. If Essos had been a normal man, his stomach might have lurched at the drop, but he wasn't. His inner ears adjusted and corrected far too quickly. He might have felt trepidation at dropping into a shooting war against his little brothers and father's soldiers. He didn't. He was calm as his inner clock counted down the seconds until they would slam into Europa's atmosphere.